Welcome back to Fabricating Awesome Stuff. When I installed the cowling, I found that the prop hub was not quite centered in the front opening of the cowling. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how I adjusted the engine mount such that the prop hub is now centered in that opening. So let me know what you think in the comments. Also, remember to like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of these updates. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and thanks for watching. I have the airplane level, and the bottom cowling is level with the aircraft. But when we come around the front, you can see that the prop flange is not centered in the cowling. So that means I'm going to need to add a shim to the rubber bushings on the engine mount in order to raise that up just a little bit. So we'll be doing that next. I need to raise the prop hub on the engine. I need to raise that about 3/8 of an inch or so in order to get it centered in the cowling. So I did a mock-up on the bench here to kind of get a feel for how much of a shim I would need to add to the bottom engine mount in order to raise the front of the engine up. And on the left here, you can see that line, the straight line on the left, is 19 inches from this line on the right, which is the distance between the engine mount and the prop hub. So when I put my square on here and line it up with the straight line, it is square with the table. You can see that square line there. Now, the line on the right is the thickness of the washer. This washer is 1/16 of an inch. So the line on the right side lines up with the thickness of that washer. So you can see it changes the angle on that line. So when I take the straight edge back here, and this time I line it up with the line on the 1/16 inch line, and so it's lined up touching the 1/16 inch line and the other line. You can see I changed that angle a little bit. So when we come over to the right hand side, because of the distance, that angle changed quite a lot, and it's pretty close to 3/8 of an inch difference there. So it looks like that's going to be just enough to raise the engine the amount that I need. On the engine mount, there is a tube that comes out from the actual engine mount that the rubber donut goes on before you put the engine in place. Now, the only way to put a washer behind that donut is to pull that donut completely off, which means I would have to pull the engine away from the engine mount completely in order to put that washer back there. Since the only way to get this washer on behind that rubber donut is to basically pull the engine, what I did is I decided to go ahead and cut the washer in half. And by doing so, I'll just need to loosen the engine mount bolts and slide the engine a nut just a little bit forward in order to slide these two pieces behind the donut. And then when I tighten those bolts back up, that'll be sandwiched in there and there's no way it'll ever come out. So I think that's going to be the simplest way to resolve my issue here. I loosened up the engine mount bolts and then used my modified jack to take a little bit of weight off of the front of the engine so it's not sagging down. And what I'm going to do is slip a shim behind this donut right here between the engine and the engine mount. And so we'll see if that works. I'll report back shortly. I was able to get the washer in between the donut and the engine mount. I'm pointing with the screwdriver here. You can see that there's that silver shim between that little donut and the engine mount. And I was able to get that accomplished on both lower mounts. And so we'll go ahead and tighten everything up and see if that makes the difference. Now that I've installed those washers on both sides of the bottom engine mount, the prop hub is now centered in the cowling opening, so that solved our problem. Thanks for watching.